begin. Hey everybody, this is the Big AG coming to you live from Augusta, Georgia. So I saw a video about how a man made a crawdad trap out of a juice bottle. I don't quite remember who it was, but I will go and find his video and leave the link in the description and show you his progress. He was able to catch quite a lot of crawdads like this. So let's go over a few things that you're going to need. You're going to need some kind of cordage to tie off your, you're going to need some kind of cordage. Zip ties are best, but if you know a really good fishing knot, you can use fishing line. You could also melt it on with a lighter. I would suggest parental supervision for that. The main thing you're going to need is scissors. I would recommend a straight blade so long as you have adult supervision. I'm an adult. I don't really need that much supervision. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done. All right. Now, the only other thing I would suggest is a knife. You will need adult supervision for this. This is my SOG Sealed Pup. It's a very sharp knife. And I do use it occasionally just because it's a very good blade. I've had it ever since I turned 18. My dog and I would go and hunt all types of things, mainly armadillo, rabbit, and squirrel, and it didn't have any problem dispatching them or anything else. It's good at carving and quite a few other crafty things, so I'll be using it today. And all I'm going to be using it for is punching that first hole. There we go. You can already see that there's a little hole there. Right here. That's all you need to get started. I'm going to put that back up in its sheath. That way I don't knock it on my foot. It's a very good safety tip. I want to mention the fact that I have gotten a lot of support on the last video that I did. I've got a better video up of what my trip down to Rays Creek Aqueduct was like. It's a lot of fun. I wind up catching a few crawdads down there, as well as seeing a lot of other wildlife and interesting things. So if you don't mind, go ahead and see that second video. It's got better images, higher quality images and everything else. I think a little bit better audio too. All right, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut between that first notch and this second notch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You're going to want to do that all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to be as much as in a straight line as possible. I think this is the Walmart brand. Yeah. Don't use any bottles that have a handle on it. It's not really all that good for what you're trying to do here. It just makes it really difficult. To work with, and you wind up losing about half of your stuff. All right. Now, you're also going to want to have to take that off. Okay. Right. The next thing, you're also going to want to take your label off so you don't get in trouble for littering. There we go. Snapped in pretty good. Now, a lot of people say you need to use cordage, but if you do it like I did, if you do this like I did, you'll see that notch fits in perfectly. You'll probably only need to tie off on both of these sides because that notch will stay in place fairly decently. Good day. it's not really going anywhere. But I'm just going to tie it off, just to make sure none of the little critters escape. Right, let me go ahead and remove this label. There we go. Alright. I don't know if I mentioned this, but when you make these kind of traps, make sure you follow state law. If state law says that you have to use a commercial style trap, use the commercial style trap in the dimensions that state law recommends. In Georgia, there's no limits, there's no license necessary. So go to the DNR website, search what you're trying to find, and it'll take you directly to the source. As far as Georgia water goes, there's no limit for crawdads. Right. So just be careful on that. If you get stopped, oh, that's not going anywhere. If you get stopped by the game warden, obey them. Do what they tell you to. The last thing you need is to have your name go up in any register of the game wardens, and as a name of concern. They have a lot more power than you think they do. They're not just rent-a-cops. Some of them have a lot more power than the police do. And that'll just put you in a really bad situation. And I don't want anybody going into that kind of situation. Okay? Sometimes it can be jail time. Other times it can be loss of license. Or you just may never get another wildlife license in your life. That's a good possibility. I need something hard to bear down on for this next step. All right. I need a hammer. This is my wife's hammer, but I don't think she'll mind. All right. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give myself a hard surface to bear down on. That way when I puncture this thing, it's not going to slide or anything else like that. I would suggest a block of wood. You don't have to. Do what you feel comfortable with. Also, make sure you have adult supervision, okay? If you're going to do this, make sure you have adult supervision. Actually get through both. Yep. try this again. No, that one's slid. This one isn't. There we go. There we go. Sometimes you just got to push it in with your thumb. Kind of wiggle it around. When you wiggle it around, you're just making the hole bigger. Give your line, yeah, just kind of wiggle and twist until you see the top bit of that nail come through. Yeah. Kind of using a nail as a center punch. It can be dangerous. Me, I've been working with tools for ever since I was 13. I used to help my grandparents run barbed wire fence and everything else like that. Taught me a lot of valuable skills and resources. And I'm very happy that I got the opportunity to work on a farm like that. There was never a dull moment, I can guarantee you that. If there ever was, excuse me, like I was saying, if there ever was a dull moment, you better find something fast. Otherwise, they'll find something to make that dull moment more dull instead of fun, because there's always something to do. You know? Now, that's the same thing in life. If you're bored, there's always something to do. Probably something you'd rather not do, but something that needs to be done anyway. Is it going to be fun? No, but it'll keep you from being bored. Maybe tedious, but I never said I'm bored, but once I learned my lesson, because it's no fun weeding the garden in the heat of the day. They would never do that to me, but you know. One thing that they would make me do is laundry, dust the house. I really didn't want to be a part of that. So I found something to do. Yeah, I found something else to do. All right, so for my cordage, I'm using 12 pound. I think this is monofilament. Yeah, 12 pound line. For those over the pond, that would be 5.4 kilograms. Okay. Yeah, 5.4 kilos. It's a pretty strong fishing line. It'll definitely reel in a champion bass. Yeah, so you just find the tip of it. Something that I learned about sewing is that if you look at the tippet, yeah, if you lick the tippet of your line, it'll go in smoother. Yeah, straight in. Excellent. Now, I'm going to use what I normally use to tie in a lure. Tie a lure onto a line. Since that is one of the strongest knots I know how to use. Thing is that these crawdads are very crafty. Now, will this catch you a lot of crawdads? No. If you have 5 traps, yeah, that's all you really need. going through like I needed to. It's going through the first one, just not the second. Come on. All right, the hole's not quite big enough for a double loop. That's fine though. The one thing I like about this is I don't have to hold the loops. The one thing I like about tying it on something other than a lure is I don't have to hold the loops and keep them from coming undone. So I can use both ends. It's not a problem. That's a nice little trick. I normally wrap it about 10 times. Right, so let me show you what I've done. All right. I'm not blocking the light. All right, I don't know if you can 100% see this. There we go. All right, so there is a loop, and then that second loop there is what I'm twisting like 10 times, just to ensure that the knot doesn't come loose. Sorry if that made anybody motion sick. Doing what I can with what I got. All right. You pass it through that loop. You grab that tag end and you pull. You pull hard. All right, that should be enough. One thing I like to do is if I'm double down, is I like to do a square knot after that and follow it up by another, just to make sure that that knot is reinforced and that it will not slip. Now, don't do this extra step on a lure, because this side will always be there to keep that part of the knot snug. As normal, you'll trim your tag line, but you also want to trim your leader line so you can do the next knot and not leave line there. Okay, now all you have to do is do the next step on the other side. You know what? A little bit bigger. Okay. I'll have to find that later so I don't find it with my foot. There we go. Almost. Yep, there we go. Perfect. All right, do the same thing here. Just wrap it around the line about 5 or 6 times. If I'm going after really big bass, what I like to do with the lure is wrap it around 10 times. There's a bass that I've been after in one of my favorite honey holes that I've called Leviathan, because his eyes are like that far apart. That is a big bass, and he's only going to get bigger. Unfortunately, that means he's going to get smarter. And I nearly had this big bass. I want to say that he was a good 5 or 6 pounder, but I nearly had him with a whopper plopper. And somehow I made my presence known through the cover, and it spooked him off. Yep, I remember making eye contact with it, and he was like, "No," and swam away. Not fast either. He's like, nah, I ain't doing this. I don't blame him. It's no fun getting set with a hook. I've hooked myself a few times before when I was young. Usually I try to avoid that situation nowadays. Does it hurt? Yeah. Is it fun? No. Did I learn my lesson? Probably not. Let's go for the second square knot here. There we go. There we go. This is tag end 1 and tag end 2. Whew, that hurts. Yeah, I apologize for somewhat of a sickly disposition today. I do have a little bit of sun poisoning. Got a really bad sunburn. So I'm going to be indoors. Alright, so, yeah, I made a really stupid decision to not listen to my wife. I should have listened to my wife. Did I learn? Yeah, well, we'll see. More than likely, yeah, I did learn. But... Alright, so, for this next part, you're going to need a straight razor. You're really going to need a straight razor. Make sure you get adult supervision once again. If you're under the age of 13, that's when you really need adult supervision. Cutting plastic is really difficult. Ah, there we go. And it can be very slick. Alright, there we go. I went past the mark I wanted. Alright, whatever. It'll be alright. Next, what I'm doing here is I'm making a trapdoor. That way I have a way to get the crawdads out. Boop. There we go. Just kind of slowly drag it through. You don't want to rip it all the way through. 2 reasons. You could really injure yourself. Okay, I don't want that happening. And you could ruin your trap, and I really don't want that to happen either. So just be very careful and mindful of what you're doing when you're cutting, please. Okay. Last thing I want to hear is my child got sent to the ER doing something, basically copying me. I really don't want to have to hear that. So if you're under the age of 13, even if you're over the age of 13, and are not used to using these, please have some supervision. Or at least someone to watch and instruct you a little better on how to use these. Okay? I can't stress that enough. Now, I won't need that straight razor anymore. I just wanted to make sure that this line was straight. Now, some people make a 1-lap system. That's a good idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke my scissors straight through, just like this. Just ever so carefully cut. There we go. And now I got a little flap. All right. Right. The next thing you're going to want to do, let me think. Got it. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a hole through this, and a hole right about there. That way you can tie your trap closed. Some people use a straight razor. I'm going to use that nail. That went rolling off. There it is. Always keep up with your materials, folks. And I just thought of a better idea of how I'm going to do this. Yeah, it's probably a better idea to do that. I'm not using the ruler to measure, I'm just using it as a guide. Yeah. This is going to be a little tricky. Be very careful doing this part, please. Maybe another ruler to hold it steady. It's really difficult to manage this, but should be okay. There we go. Is it? No, it's not punctured yet. See if I've got any sharper nails. Maybe a self-starting screw would be nice. Yeah, here's a screw. That should help. Yeah, that should help quite a little bit. It's almost like a drill. You get a little bit more control. I'm really trying not to hurt myself here. It's just be careful when you're doing this. If you have a drill, I would suggest doing it. If you don't, using it. If you don't have a drill, it's okay. Almost there. Almost there. You don't really need that big of a hole for this job. There we go. There we go. It's getting started. Good. Good. There we go. Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good hole. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I just need to get the sticky gunk out from the whip around it. Yeah, it's a piece of tape. Why is it gunky? Oh yeah, because of this side. Yeah, this side has like a sticky residue on it from the label. Be alright. Now, I'm going to do the same thing to this side, which should be a little bit easier because there's more structure. There we go. It made a little bit bigger of a hole, too. Okay. Now that's ready to be tied. Now, bait for crawdads. A lot of people use cat food. I don't have a problem with that. What I like to do is I like to use pepperoni. Yeah. Uh-oh. That's not out the way I would like for it to be. All right. Yeah. Anyways, people use cat food. They say it's really good. Basically, anything that has a greasy grease to it. Anything that has aromatic. Yeah, so if you've got chicken liver, that'll work. If you're out fishing, you catch a brim and you gut it, you want to use the guts for bait, that's fine. If I'm not mistaken. What else? I like to use pepperoni. It's cheap, easily accessible. You don't really need all that much to attract a lot of crawdads. Cat food, you need a lot. Pepperoni, it's really tough. It's probably going to be really tough for the animal to eat, to cut apart with its claws and eat like that. Right. And that way it gives you a little more time to attract more creatures. Come on. Those will probably catch about 5 or 6 crawdads before its max limit. People also like to put a few rocks and pebbles in it. It's okay. Do what you gotta do. That's 100% fine. There we go. Through and through. That's what I'm looking for. All right. It may be big enough to do 2 loops on this one. Yeah, low battery warning. Great. I hope that didn't show up in the video. Yep. Come on, come on, come on. Let me move this slide over here. Move this over here. Move the light a little further away. Point it down. Nope, I need it. There we go. That should help. There we go. That's 1 loop. Two loops. Two, 3, 4, 5. All right. Take that, put it through all the loops. Oh, gracious. Where is it? Please don't slip out. There we go. Yep, there we go. All right. And then 2 square knots to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. All right. I gotta take the trash out soon. It's gonna be fun with a lot of sunburn. Hopefully it's overcast today. Haven't really taken a look outside yet. All right. Maybe get rid rid of those scissors for right now. My knife on my waist? Yep, good. I just wanted to make sure I didn't leave it laying around. I do have itty bitties. Yep. And when they're home, this door stays locked or shut. Unless I'm in there and then supervising them. And let's see. Almost, man. Almost. Almost all the way through, but it's not one to go. There we go. That's 5 or 6. There we go. Whoop. About lost the tag end there. Will you tie this knot? You want to tie it as tight as possible. If I had my fishing gloves on, I'd tie it even tighter. But, it's alright. Sometimes I'll use gloves depending on how cold it is. Other times, if it's a fish like a gar, they have really sharp teeth. It's really nasty getting a cut from them. They've been known to send people to the hospital to go get stitches after that. Yeah, so depending on the type of fish that's on the line, some catfish, they're barbels, they'll whip them, and that really hurts. So if I go catfishing, I'll use them just to keep myself from getting injury. That way I can go out and do more. But yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. Another thing I will say is you're going to want slits, like little holes all over. That way the smell of the bait entices more crawdads to come in. So I'm going to do that now. Yeah, I'm using a screw to do that because it'll just be easier to do. You don't want to make your slits big. You just want there to be holes in there. That way the grease aerates, it travels downstream, and attracts more crawdads to come upstream. Yeah. One thing I will say, I would not suggest fishing in the same area that you're using a crawdad trap. It could be seen as baiting. If you do, don't do it. Okay? It's not a good idea to do that. So just don't do it. Baiting is very illegal. The type of baiting that that they could charge you with, it's just like going out spreading corn for deer. It's the same thing. It's called chumming. Yeah, don't chum the water when you go fishing. That's just asking to get, yeah. If I understand the law correctly, that is highly illegal and you really shouldn't do that. Now, there are two things you can do with crawdads. Some people call them crayfish, some people call them crawfish, some people call them crawdads. I think Georgia DNR says crawfish. There we go. Anyways, you can cook them up and eat them. They're good like that. Or you can use them as bass bait, and you will catch some decent sized bass, depending on the size of the fish and if anything's really biting that day. Crawdads are prime. Crawdads are kind of like prime rib to a bass. They really like them. Just wait for the bass to take it. Sometimes the bass will like to knock the claws off the fish, but I've also seen videos to where that didn't happen. It depends on how big the fish is you're fishing, everything else like that too. All right, there we go. There's 3 holes in each side. That's the trapdoor. 3 holes, 3 holes. That's where they come in. That trapdoor, once you have it tied, yeah, you always want to tie your trapdoor. The reason behind that is you don't want any crawdads escaping. So, yep, that's pretty much it. There's your trap. Only thing left to do is put, you know, something really smelly and meaty in there. Yeah. So tripe, chicken gizzards, chicken liver. Then again, gizzards and livers is a pretty good food to eat. Pepperoni's good. It's cheap, readily available. Yeah, pretty much. That's all you really need to do. All right. Well, that took about 42 minutes. You guys have a great day. And remember, when you're doing this, obey all laws in your state. If they say to use a regular trap, use a regular trap. There's nothing that I've seen in the Georgia laws that states that I have to use a regular trap. So just be mindful of that. Have a great day. Again, this has been the Big AG, teaching you how to make a crawdad trap.